Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati
Hare Krishna, welcome back. This channel, we call it Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we have Bhagavad-gita here. The edition, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who also came to the West and started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. My name is Labanga Latika, and I will read Bhagavad-gita with you today. And we have taken a big step in our book. We have just finished the second chapter, and we are starting the third chapter, which is called Karma Yoga. I will read the Sanskrit here. I will just explain a little bit. Karma means activity, and yoga is, of course, all these paths that connects us to the Supreme. So this chapter will be speaking about activity, and to understand activity, it is not a trivial thing, as we will see when we will follow Krishna's words here. Text 1. Arjuna vacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janadana tatking karmani ghore mang niyojayasi Keshava. Arjuna said, O Janadana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare, if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter, with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization has been recommended, Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place, where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga, or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge, as something like retirement from active life, and the practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga, or work in Krishna consciousness, in this third chapter. Yes, so the word karma, it's a term that we are quite familiar with in the West. It comes out of the Sanskrit terminology, and it means action, it means activity, but it does mean a little more than that, because it means action in a complete sense. So if we understand the more subtle laws of nature, every activity will have a result, and we may not see it immediately. It may take some time. So karma refers to the activity you perform. It refers to the reactions you will receive on those activities, and the whole system, the whole structure, the whole understanding of action and reaction in that philosophical sense. And of course we do notice in a quick sense, if I drink water, then I stop being thirsty. If I hit myself with a hammer, then it becomes very painful. But our vision is limited both in time and space, so we see what is right before us. But actually our activities, they are recorded in the mind, and as Krishna is expanding to sit in our heart as super soul, he's also very much aware of all our activities, and also because he's not limited by time and space the way we are, he sees the whole picture. He sees that those reactions will be coming our way eventually at the right time. So here Arjuna is posing a question. Some of these questions from Arjuna, they are not really showing that Arjuna doesn't know how things work. They also show that Krishna very much wants to give us this knowledge, so it is available here in the Bhagavad-gita. After the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, this is all recorded here, so we have access to the same knowledge. So we may easily misunderstand like that. We may see action in a very superficial way, and draw quick conclusion about what is good and what is bad. And some things, they look very ghastly, and some things look very nice. But if we don't understand the complete picture, then we can't really draw any useful, or not very useful conclusions. Of course, we can understand that we're not going to hit ourselves with a hammer. That much we will understand. But the activities in our day-to-day life, sometimes people who are not aware of this at all, they will not pay very much attention to their activities. They will just do whatever they are accustomed to, whatever they feel like. As we see in this world today, it is very common. Meat eating has become a very common thing, and a very easy thing. I know I'm a vegetarian, and I sometimes meet people who say, we have always been eating meat. Why are you being a vegetarian? This is obviously not truth. If you mean we, the human beings, if you go to India and look there, everybody's not a vegetarian, but it's a very common thing, and most people, even if they're not fully vegetarian, they discriminate a little bit about what they will eat and what they will not eat. And even here, I'm from Sweden personally, but in the Western world, we don't hear so much about vegetarianism as being traditional, but the scope of meat eating, and nobody was eating meat 3 times a day, because there simply wasn't enough animals to kill, because you had a few animals and maybe you would kill them and eat them eventually, but you didn't have unlimited resources. You couldn't just nip down to the supermarket and pick up any amount of meat any time of the day that you wanted to. So then you would be naturally a little bit more restrained in your habits from necessity only. But we want to be restrained out of intelligence, and therefore here Buddhi Yoga, Buddhi refers to intelligence, so Krishna consciousness, it is a very intelligent thing to do, and it has to be understood in the proper way. So therefore Arjuna, he drew the conclusion that yes, this horrible fighting, it's a very bad thing. It looks like bad karma. I will not do it. I will stop doing it, and therefore I will not get any bad karma. But karma is a little more subtle than that. If it's somebody's duty to protect his country and he steps out of it, there is of course a reaction to that too, because that inaction is avoiding the proper action, so there will be a reaction to it also. And here also Prabhupada speaks about this a little more superficial understanding, how Krishna consciousness, of course, chanting Krishna's name, meditating on Krishna's name, deepening our relationship to Krishna in our heart, that is definitely an aspect of Krishna consciousness. But we need to have guidance, especially when we are new to the process. It's easy to draw the conclusion that look obvious. They look obvious, but we lack the levels that are underneath. If a person will just sit down and chant, and this person doesn't have that level of realization, that level of faith, that level of spiritual realization in his heart, it will become like an external thing. It will become a matter of sitting or singing or reading. And if you don't have that level of peacefulness, of understanding, of seeing Krishna's presence in that name, it may even become destructive. It may even become so that the mind takes over more. So therefore the spiritual master, and in our case that means Srila Prabhupada, when he came here to the West, he brought this process of Krishna consciousness and he gave instructions to his disciples. And of course, well, you all know, we are the Hare Krishnas. Everybody knows that, because our main activity is singing the names of God, especially in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the sound vibration that we have been gifted in this age. It's very powerful, and it behooves us to take up that meditation. We are meditating softly, a prescribed number preferably in the morning, but of course during the day also. Or we come together and we sing loudly with musical instruments, and we go out and show this name. But in order to do that, we also do a lot of organization. We do a lot of the practical activities to make it all happen. Prabhupada founded many temples which are there as cultural centers and centers of inspiration. And our duty is to take care of those places, to take care of the services. We have cleaning goes on. We take care of our altars and temples of Krishna in the temple. There is cooking. Sometimes we have schools and farms. And even when we focus so much on this philosophy and the chanting, we also go out to the cities and bring the books to distribute. We bring the singing, we carry the instruments, and we drive there in cars. So there is so much activity going on. And this is perfect, because when we are not fully on that stage of seeing Krishna in the heart, of seeing Krishna in his name, then if we don't have engagement for the mind and the senses in our Krishna conscious service, then the mind and the senses, they will go elsewhere and look for engagement, and therefore it will drag us away. We may think, the more I chant all alone with no disturbance, the more Krishna conscious I will be. But that's why we actually need association with devotees who are following the same process. We need the instructions of a spiritual guide or a spiritual master, because just like I've used this example before, if we're studying math, and if we are a little child who comes to school the first day, first you'll need to learn your numbers. 1 and 2 and 3, these are all very good numbers, and you can add them together and you can subtract them from each other, and that is math. And then you may have a university student who is doing a totally different level of math that I wouldn't even understand, probably. So I can't describe it to you either, but it's a level quite removed from the 1, 2, 3 of the first year in school. And that person in the first year of school, if he would foolishly think that I'm going to be a very, very good at math, so I'm going to start at the higher level. No, that's not going to work, because first you have to understand the concepts. So that's the tattva. First we understand the basic concepts in Krishna consciousness, and then we practice. Because even if you hear all about the numbers, you don't come your first day to school and you hear all about the numbers and the multiplication and the subtraction and division and all of that. You don't learn about equations. You don't learn about second degree equations, because it wouldn't mean anything to you. And then gradually you get there and you understand it's the same math, but now I am mature. I can do these kind of exercises. And at the same time, Krishna consciousness, in the beginning, we do need direction, and we call it practice. We practice Krishna consciousness. And that means both that we are doing it. It also means we may not be very good at it, but by doing it, we will get better. And that is the first step to understanding that we may not have the full picture, but if we take up the practice of the process and we do practice it under the guidance of somebody who does know, then we will enter deeper into the real understanding of Krishna consciousness and also of action. I think I will read the next verse because they belong together. Text 2. Vyamishrene vakyena buddhing mohaya sivame tad ekang vadanishchitya yena shreyo ham apnuyam. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So Arjuna is intelligent here. He's not saying what will give me the biggest position or what will look best or, what is considered more advanced, but what will be best for me to do. So he wants to understand that. Prabhupada was saying in the purport here that sometimes you bring up a very advanced level and you use it as an excuse to not actually accept the instruction. Like we see that sometimes persons who practice spiritual life, they how to say, they hook onto a detail, and then that detail becomes the most important thing, and therefore they feel better than others who are also practicing spiritual life, and then you create divisions, and what it actually means is that your vision is not very broad, your realization is not very complete. So therefore we like to listen, especially to Krishna and also to Krishna's representative. Purport: in the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad-gita, many different paths were explained, such as Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, control of the senses by intelligence, work without fruitive desire, and the position of the neophyte. This was all presented unsystematically. A more organized outline of the path would be necessary for action and understanding. Arjuna therefore wanted to clear up these apparently confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. Although Krishna had no intentions of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness, either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his questions he is clearing the path to Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad-gita. Yes. So here we will get even a better understanding, because Arjuna was asking these very intelligent questions that Krishna will reply to, and therefore we will understand it better. And it is also a very good example. We don't just say, here's a book, follow the book, don't stop your thinking, stop your independence, stop being a person, just do what you're told. No, we want to understand Krishna's instruction because it's probably the best thing to do, and because we love Krishna, and because Krishna also cares about us. But we are not robots, we are not machines, we are individuals, and it is not a better thing to follow blindly, because that means your understanding will become very shallow, and you may become a little brittle in your understanding. You maybe look strong and fixed and so on, but we have seen that. We have seen persons who have taken in a fanatical way to practice very strongly something in which they don't have a mature understanding or realization, and then sometimes when they face adversary they crumble, and we don't want to do that. We want to grow nicely and naturally into our natural position of being Krishna's servant. And here Arjuna is showing the example how to do that. If we have doubts, we bring them up, we discuss them, and we hear more. Because most of the time the doubt is not because there is anything wrong really with the Krishna conscious process, but it is because our understanding is limited. Yes. Thank you very much. I'm happy that you would come here and hear Bhagavad-gita. And if you're interested, also if you want to do me a favor, please click on the subscribe button below and come back again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vande